is chaos.
Coven 13 is about going to dance. It's also going to be in a place where I know I'm not going to be judged. Give me some blood.
Being naughty. I'm not going to follow your rules because I have my own rules to live by.
It's kind of like a spiritual ceremony.
There's no depression in the goth scene.
In Hollywood, things are not always as they seem.
I mean, you don't have to be a vampire to be goth.
Another misconception is that, like, we're all into Satanism or something.
Sometimes you don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but it doesn't matter, does it?
And at Coven 13, LA's premier Gothic club, what you see might shock you.
Let's go and see the crowd, and I'll show you a lot of the beautiful people.
What you hear could leave you spellbound.
London After Midnight will be performing.
And what you experience could change your life forever.
You have to come to Coven 13 because you're going to find kindred souls there. And you just never know who's going to be dancing in the shadows.
See what happens when our cameras go inside Coven 13 to uncover the secrets and dispel the myths that haunt this mysterious nightclub scene. We'll follow Kelly Gardner, a 22-year-old Gothic beauty, and Rat Bastard, the unconventional ladies' man, as well as Devora Lillian, the reigning queen of the LA goth scene. Join us now as another revealing night begins in Hollywood.
This is your first time at a goth club. What do you want to see?
My name is Joseph Brooks, and Jason Levitt and I are the promoters for a club called Coven 13.
Joseph pretty much started the goth scene here in LA in the early 80s.
It seemed like the time was right to have a club that promoted more of the live elements of the scene.
Coven 13 attracts people that really love the goth scene and really love the music.
My name is Castle, and I am an editor at the Los Angeles Times Calendar Online, and I cover music and nightclubs.
Castle is one of my oldest friends in the scene here in Los Angeles. I met her when she first moved here in the early 80s.
That's probably what attracts a lot of people to it, is that they don't want to conform to the American dream, the very suburban lifestyle. They want something different.
Probably someday grow up and be normal like everybody else, but for the meantime, I'm gonna be a teenager, I'm gonna have fun.
We live our art instead of just look at it on the wall.
The people that are involved in this scene are such individuals that they're even more unlikely to want to be held onto a label.
My name's Kelly Gardner, and I work here at the Shrine. I'm the manager of the store, and I assist the designer.
I am Rat Bastard. I'm an actor and a musician.
My name is Devora Lillian, and I have a background in the classical dance theater, dramatic arts.
I grew up in St. Augustine, Florida, and I've traveled quite a bit. I've moved around a lot. I've known the scene in a lot of different cities.
I grew up in a small town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and had always had an artistic flair. Was kind of born dark, didn't fit in. Where have we heard this story before?
Where I was born was in Quantico, Virginia, which is the largest CIA base in the world. And from there was carted right off to Tehran, Iran, where my father and the Shah were doing a lot of business, I suppose.
Someone who meets me for the first time might say that I'm quiet or shy. I'm not the kind of person that smiles at strangers.
I scare the living shit out of people. Not that I try to, it's just I've always had an intimidating appearance.
The first impression that I would make on someone would be that of a calm and very centered woman, because that is who I am.
I've been to parties in cemeteries, I've done dope in cemeteries, I've carried on all kinds of ways in cemeteries, some of which I could probably be arrested for, but the statute of limitations is up.
Goth is so many different things to everyone. For me, if you go back and look in dictionaries, the old definition for the word Gothic means pointing at God.
Goth would be one who was into a certain mode of dress, behavior, ideology, music, fashion, hair, literature, art.
You have to understand where Gothic came from. For the most part, it started in England with people in the punk underground. And they started recording these really dark songs that no one knew quite how to pinpoint.
That's really what started the whole goth scene, and it stemmed out of a very art school type element, maybe combined a little bit with glam. Bowie had a big part in that, but they would kind of lean more towards the dark side.
And it also borrows heavily from silent movie era Hollywood glamour, and the early classic Hollywood horror films, Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, The Mummy. All of those movies are heavy influences on the scene.
I got very hung up with horror films as a kid because I actually related to them. I didn't think the monsters were such bad guys. They always had a certain je ne sais quoi that the heroes never possessed.
It was always interesting at my house. Just think of Morticia Addams. Looking a little more modern day, my father was very much like Gomez, very much an eccentric. So that for me was an inspiration to go on, to use that as a little girl at that time as something that was a positive thing. And for me, that had an extraordinary impact on how I wanted to be.
The people in this scene, for the most part, you ask them, excuse me, when you were a child, did you get picked on? Did you feel different? You know, were you not like anyone else? I promise you that everyone in that room will raise their hand.
There are people who have a lot of angst and a lot of frustration and a lot of anger, but they're not just in the goth scene. They're at the bank, they're at the supermarket, they're driving on the freeway with road rage.
Los Angeles has for a long time been infamous for its goth scene. Just a lot racier.
Coven tends to attract a younger crowd, which is interesting because in this scene, the great majority of the people are late 20s and up.
But the crowd as a whole is, I have to say, is probably the most peaceful group of people in any kind of club scene. There's not a lot of drugs. In fact, probably none really. Most people who are in the Gothic scene prefer alcohol. They love absinthe, all of the old romantic drinks.
Coven 13 has, for a number of years now, been one of my favorite places to go and hang out and people watch.
As a dramatic artist, it was the one place I knew I could go and release that boxed up feeling of control and discipline of the dance world, where I had a place to express all the drama that I was feeling in the world and not be judged. So when you see a group of people in a particular scene coming together, they're reflecting what is going on everywhere else that's being denied. And that's what makes me think, my God, most of the world is in denial that they've got anything to heal, that they have a sadness or a feeling of not belonging. This is the one place you can go.
I think that Monday will be a great night. All elements are there to make it so. And the added bonus is that we have an amazing band, London After Midnight, performing.
I expect a big party at Coven 13 this Monday. Everyone's ready to have a good time.
This Monday, we are hoping for some chaos and mayhem.
I'm looking forward to Monday night. It's an off night considered by most. We will be meeting up with a lot of other people who I consider in the high goth scenario. So to have a big event going on a school night is rather interesting and fun.
Have fun. Don't worry about what anyone thinks. Don't worry about what anyone says. Above all, this is your life. Your life, not theirs, yours. What are you gonna do with it? Your choice. Enjoy it or don't. Me, I'm having fun, and I'll see you there.
When Hollywood Nights returns,
I have a blood fetish, I will admit to that. But I never get involved in blood play with anyone who I don't know.
you're watching Hollywood Nights.
We all met up at my friend Maxine's house where we had drinks. There's often a lot of preparation that goes into the night before going out. I have a lot of hair and it's hard to get it to do anything. I like to arrive earlier than everyone else actually because it gives me a chance to claim my spot on the dance floor and make all my requests with the DJ.
So what time is the caravan headed out?
Probably about 10:30. Yeah. All right. There's already a line around the block.
I know.
I think the biggest misconception that people have about Gothic is that the people that are into it are hiding something.
I think the biggest misconception would be that the obsession with the elements that revolve around death.
Walk this way. This is the living room. To answer the inevitable question, no, I do not sleep in the casket. This is my coffee table. I'm the front man for a death rock band called Without Tears, and this is my microphone stand. It is covered with, well, souvenirs. Over the years, women have thrown panties at me, given them to me, etc., and I began putting them on the microphone stand, and well, as you can see, I've got quite a collection. For my beauty moment, I need some time alone. Relax in the living room if you won't mind. Out, Daniel, out.
The goth scene embraces the idea of what death is about in a way that most society doesn't.
What have I got to be afraid of? I don't believe that there is a God that's going to punish me eternally or that's going to reward me eternally because of the way I've lived my life. I live in a way that my heart tells me to live.
We're constantly alive and dying and with each breath, inhaling and exhaling. But there's a space in between that breath that is blissful, that's orgasmic. And that, for me, is very Gothic because it's being able to traverse between the light and the dark. So before I go out, I always go through this process of anointing myself so that I can have a really good experience in expressing myself, my drama, my joy. There is a great deal of romance in death, yet we always embrace birth. Oh, the baby. But if you're ever with someone who dies, it's a great honor. It's a great honor to see them move to the other side. Even before I go to bed, a lot of times I'll wear my lipstick. If I were to die, I would want to look my most beautiful again to greet my master. So this is a bowl of herbs, and I want to clear myself of all the pain and whatever I've experienced for the day so that when I go out to dance, I can celebrate the joy of this life. My experience and my opinion of death is embraced by all of the sacred peoples and the indigenous peoples. I feel that our Western society is really, really afraid to talk about death as a natural cycle in life, and that there's truly no death. Life and death repudiate one another. So I embrace it. I ask you to protect us to and from the club. I ask you to protect us while we're in the club. I ask you through this Christ-like frequency to bless us, enliven us. Let us make an impact in a good way. And I say, fuck, let's have fucking some fun. Oh, thank you for hearing my prayer. Welcome. Thank you for your beautiful house. I'm glad that you came. Why don't you come in and have a seat? Silva, you look beautiful. My friend who is here has moved in with me for a while, and it will be her first time for Coven 13. This is the royal court. We are the creators and the creatresses of a really happy time. In fact, a year ago, we got dressed just like this and went bowling. You can imagine what a stir we created, commoners.
Some people might say that vampirism and witchcraft and Satanism are all intertwined in the goth scene. And, you know, maybe there are parts of it that are, but it's definitely not everybody.
Not all goths are blood-sucking vampires.
Satan worships me. That's just part of it.
Most goths are not vampires, but every vampire I've met, people who at least call themselves vampires, are into the gothic scene.
Vampirism as a whole, it's everywhere. The vampire is stealing your money. The vampire is stealing your wit. The vampire is stealing your love, your ideas, your inspiration, and then claiming it as their own. So in that sense, I consider it extremely evil. But as far as the romantic side of vampirism, we all vampire one another, but with permission, it's a beautiful thing.
Some of these poor Nimrods actually think they're vampires. They won't come out during the day. They sleep in coffins. It's like, you know, whatever gets you through the night or the day, as it may be. And I think it's kind of a cute thing. They want to wear fangs and contacts and wear their little ruffles and bite each other.
Personally, I feel that blood is beautiful. Blood is a sacred water in the body, and it carries the emotions. It carries the deepest secrets of someone.
The problem lies in indiscriminate blood play. Know your partner. I mean, I have a blood fetish. I will admit to that. But I never get involved in blood play with anyone who I don't know. I want to see those test results. Thank you.
Finished.
Most people who have a blood fetish are into it because it's the last taboo. Everything else has pretty much been done and done to death. I've worn sin out, I gotta tell you. But blood is the final frontier. You can't have blood play and indulge in a blood fetish with just anyone. It has to be someone who is in the same mindset as you are, who is willing to participate in such play, and also enjoys it just as much.
I look forward to the limousine, the chauffeur, the handmaidens, everything.
I often go with coworkers, actually, people that work here at the store. We all love to go out together.
See you at the club the day you go.
When Hollywood Nights returns,
this is a place where people love to imagine, and there's no holding back on the way they want to decor themselves. It all is according to mood.
welcome back to Hollywood Nights.
Yeah.
I like to be very dramatic when I go out, very theatrical. I like to wear a lot of color so that I don't get lost in a sea of black.
The thing about Hollywood clubs is that you have to be patient.
People really do go all out in deciding what they're going to wear and putting it together.
People look really dressed up. It looks good. This is a very cool outfit. Well, let's go see what's going on inside.
Are you ready for this?
A lot of the clothing is very period. Some people might think that, you know, you're dressing for what you would wear to your own funeral.
Most people borrow heavily from elements of the past. So there's a lot of Victoriana, there's a lot of velvet, there's a lot of dark colors.
It's very much like a masquerade ball and almost like a disguise of identity.
Well, my passion is on the outside like a solid form of like this darkness, but yet behind it there's actually like this true being of light that's hidden beneath a mask.
The outfit I have is based on a Hellraiser type vibe, a goth but dark masculine feel.
My outfit is it's related to pony play, which is kind of a fringe element that, you know, it has some ties to goth.
This is a place where people love to imagine, and there's no holding back on the way they want to decor themselves. It all is according to mood, because one night you might be feeling like you're a complete queen or king, and this is a place where you can actually do this and not really be considered a freak.
Ah, we're here.
Yeah, Deborah. Oh my God, look at you tonight. Oh.
is a Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Full moon.
It is.
That was going to be a great shot.
Full moon.
Listen, let's walk you right in.
When you see people who dress like you tend to follow that group, whether it be an extraordinary costume or maybe someone's just, maybe you're into the Gap. Maybe you want to go to a sports bar, so you look at people who are dressed in sports bar clothes.
Goth is the only scene in the world right now with any style at all.
It's kind of like punk when it first originated. It was supposed to be just what you pulled out of the dirty laundry. Now it's like $400 to go down to like a store and buy a cape or buy some corset. It's overpriced, and it's, catering to a bunch of small kids that have, impressionable minds.
Men and women have much better manners in a Gothic club. They know that if you're in a large ball gown, that they better have ball gown etiquette. That means that my gown is out 4 feet. You cannot come closer than 4 feet unless you're invited to come underneath.
Watch my gown, darling. Watch out for my gown. Just watch, my dress is being ripped to shreds, baby. Walk in front of me. Please walk in front of me. My gown is shredding.
A lot of the people that go to Coven 13, I would say, are real extremists. They are maybe the kind of people you wouldn't say hello to in a dark alley.
I feel like Madonna.
Well, we're not Madonna.
I'm just going to look around for some mayhem to cause.
Most people look at it from a distance and think, I'm wearing a dress. I'm not. I just can't bring myself to wear a dress. It's not in me. It wouldn't be coming from here. What I'm wearing are hakama, the samurai split pants. And it looks cool. I look like something out of a Hellraiser movie when I go out to the club.
At Coven 13, it's very important to walk around and make sure everything's good, and I like to see if people are enjoying the music.
And you guys look incredible tonight. Wow. Is the line gonna stay this long all night? Oh my God, everyone in town's coming.
When Hollywood Nights returns,
there's definitely a sexual charge at Coven 13. There are no boundaries between men and women. Everything goes.
You're watching Hollywood Nights.
Yeah, I must say, there is some fine-looking tail running around here tonight.
Coven 13, I can laughingly refer to as one of my favorite hunting grounds as well, because the women there have always been top-notch.
You're a fan of the band?
I'm a fan of the band.
The band, what does it mean?
Everybody. My name is Justine Romay. I do adult film.
Oh, I'm Rat Bastard. I'm a singer in death rock band.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My pleasure. The loveliest in the world. You look hot, okay?
Thank you.
You look hotter than hell.
I love sex.
Oh.
I love it. That's why I'm in porn.
Well, I'm glad you're in porn. As long as it makes you happy, do what you want to do and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
I love it.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, this is a good night.
There's definitely a sexual charge at Coven 13. Everyone's very playful.
Yeah, I've got my stack of retail slut condoms on my dresser. I may just need the whole stack tonight. This is Blake. Blake is a lovely lady. I like Blake a lot.
The sexual energy at Coven 13 is kind of a gray area. There's guys and girls, and sometimes you can't really tell their sexuality or their sex right away.
Almost everybody here, I can guarantee you, is bisexual.
Sexuality has always been black and white, male and female, but the goth scene has always pushed some parameters between sexuality.
I'm being escorted by my most beautiful fairy friend, John John. He came over and braided my hair one night. Come on, let's go. I love It's been...
It is a very sexual and very sexy place to be, but everyone is owning their own. No one is pushing it onto one another. It's not a pickup scene. There's not a desperation of, I need to vamp on you to fulfill my needs.
Oh, darling.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay.
I believe everything is open, so sexuality is pretty free-flowing here.
When I engage in some sort of pony play with another person as an erotic experience, then I consider myself to go into what we call a pony headspace. And it's not something you can describe really easily, but it takes you kind of away and into a fantasy.
And the Gothic movement, I really feel, is really omnipotent, especially for those who have a 9-to-5 job.
Runs the gamut as far as professions. I mean, we know doctors, lawyers, shoe salesmen.
This is a place where people can leave that behind and let the goddess energy recreate them.
My name is Jenny, Pony Girl. I'm a librarian and I'm 51.
And I manage a cosmetic dental office in Beverly Hills.
I'm 18 years old and I work at a convalescent home.
I don't think the people that I work with have absolutely any idea whatsoever what I do for my nightlife, which is totally different than my persona during daytime.
I was a typical, Florida girl. I was always at the beach. I had blondish hair and a suntan, and so there was quite a transformation. My parents were very shocked, but they've gotten used to it.
My family supports it and thinks it's really neat because they know that it's a way of life that is like art.
My mother's often said to me, "How did you get so strange?" And I would just smile at her and look at her and hug her. Because she's very much normal.
My family doesn't like this. They hate this. But I love it. It doesn't matter what they think. I love this, and that's all that matters. They need to accept me for who I am.
For a while, when I first started dressing like this, actually, they didn't quite like it. They said I was a girl, and they said they kicked me out because of it. They would take away my clothes, and then after a while, they finally got used to it.
They usually see me in my business suit and tie. So when I was younger in high school, they just thought it was a phase till they kicked me out, and then they just never saw that side of me again.
I really believe that the extraordinary part of my family is that I accept them. When I find that I'm accepting of everyone else, I'm accepted. And again, this is why I'm drawn to the Gothic dance scene.
When Hollywood Nights returns,
the dancing is quite different from any other club.
Would you like some burning windmill?
Nah, I dance dirty.
welcome back to Hollywood Nights.
At Coven 13, the place to be seen is the dance floor. And it's so crowded. The back room here is usually the darker music.
Something you have to see to believe. It's everyone has their own form of expression on the dance floor.
Let's dance.
The scene has a very unique style of dance. It's kind of Baroque. It's kind of classical dance oriented. Sometimes it almost looks like a minuet.
I've heard them described as burning windmills. There's a lot of very circular dancing that takes place. You know, people reaching up and moving around. It's graceful.
Well, maybe we got to go out and dance.
Yes, I would love to.
Well, why don't we go dance right now?
Would you like some burning windmill?
Nah, I dance dirty.
I've been to goth clubs across the states, and they dance the same at goth clubs everywhere.
People can't dance, and they try to do whatever they can do to look beautiful, because one of the first rules of goth is be beautiful.
People dance and It's almost like a religious experience. It's very spiritual to be on the dance floor and dance at Coven 13.
Obviously, it's not traditional dancing, and most people don't dance together. They just do their own thing. It's, I guess, free form, if you want to call it that.
I call it the airplane directing dance, where you're like signaling an airplane, you're gonna land somewhere.
The uniqueness of the movement and the arms that always seem to move like wings cutting through the space, creating frames around your face, cutting through, sweeping on the ground. It is rather unique, isn't it? I think that most of the people who go to Coven 13 have a great deal of passion in them that isn't able to be expressed anywhere else. I know that this is where I can go and express myself and what I'm feeling through dance. And if I don't do this, I die because I'm a dancer. That I can go to someone that I don't even know who's in their own bliss and in their own dance, and there's this connection. And then there's this whole movement, and we just move around each other, and it's wonderful. And then you move on. And there are no words exchanged.
Sometimes I'll be DJing and I'll put a long record on and go down and dance myself. And it's just a really kind of cleansing feeling.
There's a lot of respect that this dance is a very important thing to do, and the music is really important.
I'm dancing with the DJ. I'm dancing with the music man. Jason.
What you appear like from the outside has to come from a place of truth in your heart. If you're just doing it to look a certain way or to be accepted in a certain clique, you're a poser. You have no heart.
Goths are a little bit elitist, I think. They kind of look at newcomers or outsiders as they're not quite sure if they're really true goths.
I think a lot of posers are actually quite innocent. I think that the true posers are egoistic and are calling other people posers.
You know, it's not for me to judge who's a poser and who's not. I don't really make that. That's not what I'm there for.
I have met many long-haired, big-haired, rockers enter into the goth scene. This is a story. Comes to my house and goes, well, you know, this is all really new to me. I quite don't know how to operate like this. And then a month later, I see them with fangs that are barely able to stay in and funky makeup and contacts, and I'm going, oh, all right, they're trying on a new costume.
Such a cute little vampire girl.
Thank you.
Do you come to Coven all the time?
Sometimes.
You do?
Sometimes.
Oh yeah, I'm very close with Joseph and Jason. They were the. Pardon me? Yeah, I know him. I haven't seen him, but you're here. Yeah, and it's a good night.
Someone who's wearing black and the right makeup and the right clothes may not necessarily be gothic. They might be a poser. Okay, so try on those clothes. We may not have much in common to talk about, though.
The problem is the posers are people in the scene. They're not the tourists. They're the people who take themselves far too seriously.
I'm there to be around my friends and listen to the music that I love, and whoever wants to join is welcome as far as I'm concerned.
While I think they embrace newcomers coming onto the scene because they want to make new friends like anybody else, they're also a little bit defensive of their scene and keeping it very true to what they consider true goth.
When Hollywood Nights returns,
so many people came up to me after that show and said, I'm glad that you're not trying to, be a typical goth band.
You're watching Hollywood Nights.
Coven 13 is probably one of my favorite goth clubs in town because the music they play is a combination of old school death rock and the more gothic, new, dark wave, ethereal, some of the industrial elements that have crept in.
Gothic music is the dark side of rock and roll.
Follow me. Jason is the cream. He has everything.
How about the Creatures right now? A little bit of Susie.
A little bit of Susie.
Oh, a little Bad Gadget. We can't forget Bad Gadget.
London After Midnight will be performing at Coven 13.
My name is Sean Brennan. I'm the singer and songwriter, and Tamlin is our keyboard player, and Michael Arclette is our bass player. William Sky is our guitarist, and Chris Payne was our drummer for the night of the show.
London After Midnight has toured the world and have a huge goth following all over.
They're just really cool. I love their music. I like their stuff. I'm sure there's bigger fans out there, but I love their stuff.
I'm looking to see Sean Brennan, the singer from London After Midnight. He is so hot. I want to marry him. I love him so much.
There are certain bands that actually try to be gothic because, you know, they're into the scene and they hear other gothic bands or bands that are followed by the gothic scene, like Sisters of Mercy or something, and they try to sound like them. But to me, that's kind of pathetic.
They're an old goth band. They've been around for a long time, been gone for a while, and making a comeback from what I understand.
Well, for the past 2 years, yeah, we haven't played in LA.
Okay, Mr. Brennan, impress me. I've been at this a lot longer than you have. Is anybody playing musical instruments? Or is this like all DAT tape? Dude, is this all DAT tape or is anybody actually playing?
That remains to be seen.
The band performed. I left the room. I have to be frank with you. I don't care for London After Midnight. I never have.
Most of the people are just amazing, but there's a lot of negativity, and you know, just today I heard like about 16 rumors about me, like how I'm a child molester and how I kill pigeons and all this kind of, you know, bullshit.
I've seen them before. I have gone to see them, the band, but I had all my friends around me, and there was a lot going on besides what was on stage.
Oh, I have to tell you something, though. Okay. I didn't really even pay a fucking bit of attention to the band. I enjoyed the music because I was too involved in the people that I really loved. And then I turned around and thought, oh, yeah, the band is on. And I looked up, and then I went, holy shit, I know that guy. Realizing I knew him, I stopped and went, this is interesting. I'd like to hear what he has to say.
For LA, usually LA crowds are very hard to win over. They tend to stand there and, you know, wait till the song was over and politely applaud, but the other night, it was pretty crazy.
When Hollywood Nights returns,
Do you want to come to my house afterwards and have a party? Yeah. Would you like to come?
welcome back to Hollywood Nights.
This is nice.
This is the last song of the evening. Thank you very much.
Only in a club like Coven 13 can you be on your knees.
It looks like they're going to close pretty soon. Damn it. We've got to find somewhere else to go. Let me work on that.
We'll have after hours at my house.
Shh. We're going to have after hours at Devora's.
Do you want to come to my house afterwards and have a party? Yeah. Would you like to come?
I'd like to come a lot.
Okay, so let's go get Kelly, invite Kelly. We want Kelly to come, she's beautiful.
First criteria for who gets invited to the after party is A, do we know you? Because if we don't know you, we can't trust you.
Where's the after hours party at?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay, how's it going?
Well, we're going to round up the remaining friends and get our things and head on back to Gandharva Palace.
Well, the night isn't over for us.
All right, well, this will continue on down the road and up the hill to my sweet little palace we go. I'm in the middle. I love my tea parties. This is a grand tea party. Thank you so much for a great night in the middle of summer. Coven 13 couldn't have done better.
I've had the best time I've ever had in my life, and a lot of good things have come out of it for me. I might be DJing in London in a few weeks. I met a lot of incredible people that night. I have some new friends.
The thing I most want people to learn about the goth scene is that we don't have anything to hide. We're not people to run away from. We just want to have a good time and just be who we are.
Did I ever really tell you what a beautiful singer you are? You have such a beautiful voice.
Usually when Hollywood gets a hold of the gothic scene, the death rock scenes, they make us look like a bunch of fire-pissing, baby-raping Huns. And it was actually an evening where we were shown in a good light, what we really like, having a good time.
That horror is awakening. Good night, my dear.
Good night.
On this particular night, it was totally the high social de rigueur. We had so much fun dancing. Well, let's go in. I don't think I would change anything about that night. I really enjoyed every moment. Tonight was extraordinary.
Yes.
Woo!
Okay, had a good time.
Well, good night and thank you. Om
Om
Shanti.
Shanti.